All right, so you're building a business, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business builder, you're trying to grow your company, but especially you're looking for ways to generate more cash as fast as you possibly can. There is a tool that costs you today, because they don't charge for long distance, costs you virtually nothing, but can generate some immediate injection of new sales and cash, and that's the phone. Pick up the phone and talk to people. And I often say, worst case scenario, take your best clients, and let's make this up. Let's say that there's 100 of them. Take your very best clients and plan on calling 5 a day for the next 20 business days until you're done calling that list. It's interesting because if you do it in the spirit of service, so hey, I wanted to touch base with you, wanted to see if there's anything that we could help you with, and you might even want to have an offer ready that you could make to them that is like an irresistible offer, or tell them about a new service, or invite them to an event or something. But at minimum, pick up the phone and call them and ask how they're doing, and ask if there's anything that you can do to help them. Here's why. If you ever hear me talk about my carousel concept, it's that your customers are all going around on a carousel. Well, when you start making phone calls across a broad list of people that are your existing customers, all of the trust and bonding is done. They already, provided you didn't screw up the relationship, right? You produced a great product, sold them, they were happy. You call those 100 or 200 or 500 people, the trust and bonding is already built. You already know that they're a target for your products or services. You already have their contact information. There's just so many layers that are already on. It's just a matter of reconnecting. But with that carousel concept, what happens is, across that broad spectrum of 100 people, I guarantee you that their life situations have changed, right? So there is a huge chance that they've been waking up every morning or in the middle of the night going, I got this problem. How am I going to fix it? But they haven't consciously made the effort to reach out to you for the solution. Maybe they're even looking and they forgot that you offer that product or service. Maybe you haven't been, something we'll talk about in another video is mailing your list. You haven't been contacting your people. But this gives you a chance to get back in front of them. But people say, well, how do you make that call? Here's some things that you need to do. When you make that call, number one is that you need to make that call with zero expectation of making any money from that call. And I don't mean not expectation, but intention. So there's two different things for me. Like, in other words, I intend to create a result, but if it doesn't happen, I'm okay because I knew that I just built a stronger relationship. If you do it that way and you're calling just to serve, like in other words, when you get on the phone with them, maybe they only have a question and you answer that question, you fix their problem, you help them, you built a stronger relationship, but it didn't put money in the bank. But along the way, when you start calling all these people, you're going to run across people that go like, I've been meaning to call you. Or, yes. Oh, or, you know what? I just had breakfast yesterday with one of my friends and he's dealing with this exact thing. Is there any way that I could get you together? Like, stuff just starts coming out of the woodwork by reaching out and connecting. And the phone is free and it's direct. Remember, we're talking about how to generate quick cash in a business, how to go on that money hunt. So make sure that your expectations are right. You're approaching it with a spirit of service. Number two, have some questions written down. One of the greatest books I ever read, it's an old book called How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling by Frank Bedker. He talks about preparing questions in advance when you go into a selling environment. Changed my whole business life when I learned that idea, that process. Well, when you make these calls, have questions written down that you can ask that will uncover what pain or needs or problems or challenges or frustrations that they might be experiencing. In other words, ask genuine questions that elicit response, not yes, no questions, questions that get them to talk and describe what's going on in their lives, what their situations are, and then listen, actually physically listen to what they're saying. Hidden in there is the money, because they're going to say things that you're going to realize, I could solve that problem. I could help them. I could fix that for them. And another level of this, I do this a lot with, and we end up getting clients, consulting, coaching clients, and people that we work with out of this, is for years, I have been willing to get on the phone with somebody and give of my storehouse of knowledge with no expectation that you have to give me money. And it has paid dividends over and over and over again, because the more you give, the more you get. But you got to give before you get. That's law. You cannot circumvent that. But it is, reciprocity is so big. People, you pick up the phone, you start calling these 100 or 10, 50, whatever that number of clients is. You start calling these people, you genuinely care. You ask genuine, interesting questions about their life, and then you listen, and then you offer ideas and solutions. You're gonna find money. It's gonna be right there in front of you. And so one of the last pieces of that is that you want to think about, is there some kind of an offer maybe I should have on the table? And it might be an offer for a product. If you feel, is the word disingenuous? If you feel, like a little weird, like you're making sales calls, then don't offer a product or service. Like, in other words, hey, would you like to buy one? Offer to come to an event or to come to a webinar. Hey, I'm going to be teaching a class, online class about this. Or hey, I'm going to be getting people together in my store. I had a client one time, they were a jewelry store, and you say, well, how could a jewelry store use education? We created a whole event called Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Diamonds But Were Afraid to Ask. And it was a customer appreciation. They came in, they had hors d'oeuvres, or as one of my friends said, horty horse, but they had hors d'oeuvres, and they did a little education process, and he sold thousands of dollars worth of jewelry that night, after hours, at a time when he wouldn't have been even open. So you can invite people to an event that can become a selling process. So you can invite them to a seminar, a webinar, an education event, a reception, maybe a barbecue, and they bring their, say, hey, it's a +1 or a plus friend, bring a friend, and we'd love to meet your friends. And if we can help and serve them, that'd be great. But have something in your pocket at the end of an offer, or something you could give them of value, or an offer that you could give them that would solve their problem in exchange for money. And I guarantee you, if you go through the process, pick up the phone, call your clients, either your best clients or all your clients, maybe do a spreadsheet of all the revenue, invert it, and start at the top and just start calling. The people that have spent the most money with you, all the way to the people that spent the least amount of money with you. But eventually, you're going to run across problems that need to be solved, and you're going to find people that are willing to exchange their money for that solution. And again, these are the easiest people to sell to. They're the ones that have already bought. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope your mind is just set off in all the different ways that you can use this strategy that you just learned. But we have 17 of these cash flow catalysts, these ways that you can go on a money hunt, and we've put them on a checklist that you can download right now. All you do is go to jpmaroney.com/cashflow. Again, jpmaroney.com/cashflow. Put your email address in, hit the button, we'll give you instant access to the PDF and the growing series of videos in this Cash Flow Catalyst series. jpmaroney.com/cashflow.